it's Guido coming at you with another review. This is the third of the 5 new tanks, or at least the Tier 8 and Tier 9 tanks. There's a bunch of, about 5 or 6, I think, of the lower tier tanks. We may get to some of those eventually. We'll see. I think we already did the Gabbler's Destroyer as a one-off. But today we're going to talk about the Contradictious, which is a Tier 8 British heavy tank with a new... Double barrels aren't exactly new, but the game mechanic this one comes with is new. There's a couple things that are a little bit different from the tank you might recall, which are the 703 version 2, several Christmases ago, was the Russian double barrel tank. So this does have the ability to shoot one barrel or both, but they do it a little bit differently with the British design. This is the premium of the new British heavy tank line that has 2 barrels. So right now that line's not out, it's supposed to come out early next year. And we've got the premium tank, the Contradictious. It does have kind of an interesting mechanic. We'll talk about that as we go, but let's see how I did, how I have it set up, etc. Okay, I'm using hardening in the bonus slot. I'm using the turbo in the bonus slot. I did take mobility as my bonus slot, and I have a vert stab to help tame the gun just a little bit. I'll give away a little bit of the mechanic. When you shoot the double barrel, it is wildly inaccurate-ish. We'll talk about that. But that is my setup. I don't think I have a second setup yet. Yeah, I'll probably do something more with, say, less hardening and speed and just gun handling, just to test out that one as well. But right now, that's what I've got. You're going to have every 2 shells on these. So every time you lower the shell count, it's going to go by 2. Boom, just like that. So I've got 54 AP, 16 APCR, and 8 high explosive. High explosive is okay, 53 pen and 440. It's a 360 alpha gun. 225 pen with the regular AP, and you only get 255 with the APCR, which is not a huge bonus, not a huge increase right there, fellas. Not great at all. I'm running 2 large kits. I did run the food there. At this point, food's kind of mandatory if you want to be competitive, although I am not running try-hard yet on this. I did play 10 battles, and we ended up with 80%. Got 8 wins, 2 losses. I don't know if my numbers supported an 80%. I don't know what numbers it would take to support an 80% over a couple thousand battles. Probably not really possible in this game. So a couple lucky games, a couple games that I had something to do with. Overall, I felt it was fairly comfortable. It was a bit of a learning curve early on, and it still is. If you don't want to watch the rest of this video, let's put it this way with this tank, and this is the way I'm trying to think about it. The gun mechanic is a lot like an intuition skill. So you're going to be able to change the firepower or the way the gun is going to work, I guess. Not work is a bad idea, or is a bad way to say it. You're going to change the way, what ammo you're going to use, I guess, for the situation, right? Change the way your gun is going to work for the situation, because it's not necessarily the ammo. Intuition's still going to apply to this, but the idea being that I'm going to press a button, I'm going to wait a little bit of time, and I might be able to change what I'm doing, i.e. I'm single shot mode and I want to put 2 shells into them. It's very similar to the 703 version 2 with a couple little differences, but I think if you kind of think of this game mechanic, pressing X, as a type of intuition skill, you get to a situation and go, ooh, I really could use a double barrel shot because I'm close and I'm pretty sure I'm going to hit. You only have to wait 2 seconds to get the double barrel set up. Otherwise, you're going to be a cyclical single barrel guy in this tank. All right, we'll talk about that as we go. All right, so let's take a look at my stats. We did 10 battles in this thing, 80%, 1,159 average experience. It's going to be high if you have an 80% win rate, so I expect that to come down. If we look at the numbers, they're not quite that high. 1,821 is a good DPG. It's not. It's probably a 55% DPG for me. 491 average assistance. I did have a 3,732 damage game, so I had at least one really good game. A couple mid 2,000 games, a couple stinkers in there as well. 1.93 damage ratio. The destruction was off the charts at 5.5. Low sample size, but I feel like that has a little bit to do with the double barrel capability of closing near deads out or taking out low hit point with HE, for example. Things like scouts and stuff like that, if you happen to be able to tangle with those. So that was an interesting number. It will clearly come down, but I don't know if it will stay higher based on the type of tank it is, or if it's just really high right now due to having some good games in 10-hole games. Armor use is good at 0.61, which means situational, and that is largely the turret. The turret is quite good. We'll look at the armor profile in just a little bit. And in fact, the hull armor is pretty darn good too. And when this thing is hull down or has any kind of back slope to work with, i.e. it's using its 10 degrees of gun depression, its armor is really good. There's a weak spot on a hatch. We'll show you that in a minute. So overall, did pretty well with the stats right here. Very interesting tank. You know, I'm talking about closing guys out, but what's interesting, in 10 battles, my maximum destroyed to battle is only 2. So I've got a 5.5 destruction ratio, but I've only averaged 2, which means I'm killing, in every game I'm getting kills. Fascinating, so 5.5. Of course, I guess the other way to look at that is I've survived so many games, 80%, that my destruction ratio is certainly going to be higher, right? So maybe that's not as interesting a stat as I was thinking. So I've only been destroyed twice in 10 games, and I have 11 kills. All right, so maybe that's not that amazing. Definitely not that amazing. All right, that's how I did. That's why you got to be careful with the low sample size, guys. There's so many different things to think about with the stats there. Crew-wise, I had a pretty good crew. You're going to run a commander that's also a radio operator. You've got a gunner, driver, and unfortunately you have 2 loaders. Bit of a pain in the butt, to be honest. And the problem is, here's all the tier 8 heavies that the Brits have. Gonzalo, Action, Carnarvon, and Caliban. Let's actually increase this to the 9s and the 10s. I don't think there's a match. In fact, yes, I had to build a whole new crew with this. And here's the problem, guys. FV, Commander, no radio operator. Proto, Commander, no radio operator. Commander, no radio operator on the Super. The Conqueror, Commander, no radio operator. All right. The Gonzalo has it, but he also has a nope, that's not true. That's a gunner. Never mind. No good. Caliban, no good. Action X, no good. Contradictious is the tank, and Carnarvon. So what did we find? 1 or none? I think it was none, actually. Pretty sure it's none. Yeah. Yep. I've been working on all 5 of these, so I'm not remembering completely every time. But yeah, so that's why I built a brand new crew, guys. There's no heavy. At least from 8, 9, and 10. I guess I could have the 7s. Maybe there's a 7 that's got one. Let's find out. What do we got here? We got the Black Prince, yeah? No. The A45 got no. Yeah, you're screwed. All right? It's a one-off crew. Very painful. Very painful. Like, there is not a single, from what I can tell here, unless there's maybe a reward tank somewhere I don't know about, could be, that has a commander that is also a radio operator in the Brit heavy line. Now, presumably, when the new line comes out, that'll be a new crew for that, and that's kind of why you're playing premiums usually. Early adoption with premiums for new lines is you're trying to train up crews for the new line. So that will be alleviated. However, right now, there isn't one. I guess my advice to you on that one is if you're planning on going down that line, then get yourself a new crew. I have so many good crew members that have extra skills, all the special crew members in the barracks and the barracks. I was able to set up a pretty good crew here. So I've got Squire Connolly and Tommy Parker and Richard Cutland, Mark Bale, and one of these is a random guy. I think Simcoats might be just a random Brit crew member down there. But there you go. That's the crew member issue. As you can see, I'm 3 skills roughly on most of them, working on the 4th. This guy has 2, working on 1. Let's look at the armor profile. Like I said, we would. Check it out. Oof. And that's against its own gun at 225 pen, which is a fairly standard pen for heavies at its tier. That's tough. Now, if you're a little bit looked down, you're looking a little bit better on the upper hull, but man, that turret is tough, isn't it? Does have a hatch, rather thin, but it can be pinned. I've attacked them through that weakness several times. But look at that, just absolutely monstrous. Any kind of angling. It is okay at side scraping. Obviously, you don't want to over side scrape. You got that leading edge right there, will be penetrable, although it does help with your lower plate as you do that, right? And we kind of get this little halfway mark right here. So decent side scraper, really good frontal armor. How's it doing overall? Early days, can't take a whole lot away from this, but we are at a plus 0.4 win rate differential, which bodes well. It's currently 52.38%. a little bit higher than the average win rate of the players that are playing it. So that's actually pretty good. I suspect it'll be a top 20. It might stay here. I mean, looking at the numbers around it, that's pretty close to staying about where it is, just based on the numbers and the win rate differential. It could drop just a little bit, I think. There's still a little bit of the remnants of the signal in there from all of the good CCs and CAs and whatnot that have been playing it early. And guys who are trying to 3-market, you got all the really good players trying to 3-market. So this is going to be some months before we really see a true picture. However, these numbers bode fairly well for it being a pretty good tank. Pretty good. All right, cool. Now, comparison. I only compared it against 3 tanks. I'm not going to get too crazy about this. We got the Contradictious, the 703, which also has 2 barrels. We'll talk about the differences here in a minute. And then the Skoda, which has 2 shells. It's a 2-shell auto loader, reloader. Its alpha is 360. These other 2 are much higher. The penetration is decent. We already talked about not having a great boost out of its premium round. Gun loading. All right, the difference between these two. The Contradictus must have both shells reloaded to shoot. So you're going to wait. Then you're a cyclical gun. You shoot, and then you're going to reload in 10.55 seconds, plus or minus your bonuses, etc. And then you're going to shoot again. And you've always got, once you load, you've always got that 2-shot option. And you're going to press X to switch over to it. The 703.2 version, the 703.2.122, can shoot 1 or 2 regardless of what is loaded, and then it's got some wait time between. If you shoot 2, that increases the reload and some other goofy stuff going on, but it can basically load 1 shell and shoot. You shoot both shells with the Contradictus, you're waiting the entire 20 odd seconds. You shoot both shells with 703, there's a lockout and then it starts, but you're waiting 12 plus the lockout. You're going to have another shell right there. The other thing about the Contradictus that the 703 doesn't have is when you go to double barrel, you get a massively increased dispersion. It goes, fellas, from 0.35 to 1.15, which is worse than some artillery. I will say that in practice, if you are close, it doesn't matter that much. It seems to be decently accurate, but you start to get the medium long range, then it is definitely inaccurate, but still can hit things potentially. Though you don't want to be shooting, double barrel shots inaccurately at faraway targets. You're probably happy to be a cyclical gun at that point. We'll look at that a couple times in the gameplay right there. It does have -10 gun depression, which is a bonus over both of these guys. And it's actually got the highest DPM. None of these are super high DPM. That's a balancing factor for having 2 barrels or 2 shells and all that good stuff. But it is comparable. It's slightly higher. I mean, it's not a massively higher, right? 100 over the 703 and 40 over the T56, but certainly competitive amongst those 3 right there. Let's see, 2.11 aiming time is not bad. Look how bad these other 2 are. So that's actually reasonable, but double barrel time, you press X 2 seconds, you get into double barrel mode and you're 3.36 aiming time. And it gives you a different reticle. We'll look at it during the game. It's a little bit hard to sort of understand what's going on with it, but we'll take a look at it. All right, whole armor, that's that 150, nicely angled. We already looked at that profile. 250 on the turret, nicely angled, very strong. Sides pretty good. Okay, side scraper, certainly not 703.2 capability with 100, but 70 is not too shabby. Speed-wise, all right. This one caught me by surprise. I had forgotten that I read that, and it is clearly there in the information. When you hit X and go to double fire salvo mode, you are doing 20 kilometers an hour. Beware. I didn't realize that on my first game, and people were blasting by me, and I was kind of going in and out of the mode. I couldn't really tell if it was speeding up or slowing down, but it is in fact much slower if you press X and go into salvo fire mode. Your reverse speed doesn't change, which is nice, but it's already low at 12. So it only has a top speed of 36. It's relatively slow. All right, what else we got going on? Camo, it's a heavy. It's actually got atrocious camo, to be honest. I guess because it's so tall, it's got quite a tall turret as opposed to these other 2. But again, they're heavy. They're heavy. We're talking the difference between 3.48 and 6.27. You're not sneaking around in a heavy. And it has pretty good view range for a tier 8 heavy. It's at 370, which is much better than the 703 at 20. So it is an interesting mix of numbers. I think sometimes when you get to some of these special tanks that have these press X and special modes and things, it can be difficult at times to sort of break down what the numbers mean to that. Like, does a DPM for this tank really talk to its capability over a minute? So I would say sometimes, based on having a special ability like the 2 shells out of the T-56 right after the other pretty close in, being able to double shot with the 703, the double shot with the Contradictious, the special situations where that firepower can come in handy are not captured by the numbers very well, to be honest, which is why these types of tanks generally have such low DPMs. So you can't just look at it and go, oh, it's bad because it has a low DPM. Well, it's got some of these special mechanics that are going to help it out. Let's take a look at some gameplay and check out how this... All right, off we go, fellas. This map is going to, at least in the area of the factory, sort of play into the strengths of this thing. It's a relatively close-in fight. There is some opportunity, depending on how the match goes, for you to move forward and get some side shots in the local flanking type of idea. On the other hand, we're talking about a pixel sniping, hatch sniping event early on anyway, where the double barrel isn't going to really come into play, and you're probably going to be wanting to play single barrel. This is fairly early in the 10 matches. I'm still learning. This is one of the games where I really started to kind of understand some of the situations that you might want to press X and situations where you might want to stay cyclical. As I mentioned earlier on, I would suggest that you treat the X as kind of an intuition skill, so I would stick with cyclical. You're still dropping 360 alpha. You're still relatively accurate with the 0.35 or whatever it was, so that's not bad. Of course, you're going to have things to help yourself out. You have a great turret for the hold down stuff, so you're a pretty... You are definitely a competent hold down heavy, even without the double barrel thing. Not amazing, but competent. So I'm going to hang out here for a while. We got a Blesk moving in. Bless his soul. We got Moko over here trying to be a part of this video. Like most heavies, you may find yourself waiting on to just stab one off. I wasn't confident in the turret quite yet, so I'm being a bit careful with this. I'm trying to get up underneath that shot right there, but maybe not the best option against the 50 TP PR. And I'm shooting regular AP just to see how it goes. Haven't bothered with the 2-shot yet. Alright, so you can see the little 2-shell thing right there. This reticle looks standard. You can see the 2-0, right, letting you know. Okay, missed that one. A lot of jiggling around. But again, I don't want to let him get a good bead on that hatch. So rocking back and forth. You're going to be sorely tempted, guys, because you've got the double barrel. You want to get into a situation where you can giggle and double barrel somebody. Team's doing really well, by the way, especially on the other side. I'm just kind of waiting for that side to collapse, and now we might get some more options. Double barrel. Boom. All right, so let's just back that up. Probably going to have that stupid light on for the rest of the replay. Almost guaranteed. I'll get it one away. Alright, so we're hanging out. Did I hit the double barrel? Was I that smart? Yes. Although, to be honest, it wasn't because I thought I knew something was going to happen. I just wanted to try the double barrel. So there you go. Not great aiming, but check it out. 603. So a bit of a luck there. I was really only going to double barrel just to check it out. I was going to take a stab at the 50 TP with the APCR and see if I couldn't get a bit lucky right there. So that worked. I'm going to try it again. Again, I'm in more of the exploration phase right here. All right. Check it out. I hit with at least one, right? And you can see that the reticle is different. It gets that kind of wide thing going on. It's hard to see the zoom in. There is some zoom in. It's kind of hard to see it though. All right, I'm done sort of poking at the 50 TP. The team is winning by miles. I'm looking for a way to get up in there and start shooting guys in the side, right? I'm back here. Let's go around. We're going to go all the way around. I know there's a rubble pile that I can then sort of do the pixel sniping thing with the other Contradictious over there. I'd love to cross, but I'm feeling... Oh, yeah, driving is hard when you're dumb. All right, I hit 2. By the way, what was I doing there? Wrong? Well, I was driving around in double barrel mode slow. Someone's furiously typing right now. You were in slow mode. I know. Well, I know now. I didn't know then. I know now. That's another thing to remember, though. If you need to get out and get moving, turn off that skill, right? Turn off your intuition skill. See, decently accurate, isn't it? Cyclical fire mode, that'll work. I dropped the 365 on him. That's it. A perfectly acceptable heavy tank number of damage. Number of damage? I don't know. Damage number? Alpha. Let's call it that. Perfectly acceptable alpha. Alright, I did not press X, so I don't have the double fire thing going on, so we can cruise on in here. And I see the 49L. I go into double fire mode. Notice that the slowing down doesn't happen until it actually engages. So you can, as you're closing on, guys, realize you've got 2 seconds of the high speed, and then when it hits 2, you'll slow down. So take that into account when you're moving in on someone. Unfortunately, and I've done this a lot, this is just a badge. I'm like, okay, well, I guess it wasn't that bad. And then the bless just finishes them off. But I only one of my shells pinned or hit. It's hard to tell what actually happened. I'm just going to accept that I'm slow because I know my reload's happening right here, no worries. Now we could maybe do the math on that. Remember, you're slow, but your reload's not any slower. I probably could have hit X, and it doesn't stop you. So hit X, you're slow. When your 2 seconds is up, you get your speed back, and then you would want to hit X as you get closer, 2 seconds, and then you would slow. There's a lot going on there, right? But I think I probably could have got to this fight just a little bit faster by not sitting in slow mode the whole time. And check it out. Whack. Another 763 right there, right? Nice and close. That big crazy dispersion doesn't matter. I let it zoom just a little bit. Both shells hit, both pinned. I got 763 slap out of that thing for 2,096, 788 assist. Still in slow mode. Again, I think the same thing applies here. Let's see this. If maybe I'd... All right, well, I wasn't reloaded, so I did get my gun online in slow mode. I'm not reloaded. There's nothing else I could do about that, and I don't think I get any more shots out of this because the bless is just tearing through the apart. And then the XM57 comes in and finishes them off. 1 kill, 2,096 damage, 788 assist, and just a few examples, in my opinion anyway, of ways to use and some ways to not use the game mechanic of the X. The big thing is watch your mobility and what it's doing to you when you're slow and you're trying to get into double salvo mode. I mean, honestly, unless you really think you're about to double salvo pretty much immediately, you might want to just hit X after you double shot, get back into fast mode so at least your maneuver is better, and then have a think about whether you need to get into double, because you've got such a long reload, right? You took 2 shots, you got 21 seconds. You might as well immediately come out of double salvo mode after you shoot. Do your maneuver, do what you got to do, and if you are going to shoot again in 21 seconds, because that's what you got to wait for, you've got a lot of time to get back into double salvo mode. So I think that's kind of the takeaway from that. All right, second example. All right, second example. This is really set up for a hold down tank like this. We got the Contradictious. There are 2 artillery to deal with. We're on Himmel's Westfield Dorf, but you know, hold down tanks just love this position right here. I think this side has a bit of an advantage these days based on people understanding how to fight it over here. In fact, the IS-7 earlier, you didn't see the text. You didn't see the text, right? The chat. He said, I'm going to stop them from using the hill. Now watch where he goes, which I thought was a great idea. He's top tier, we're bottom tier right here. He's going to go into a position that's going to control their ability to really use this hill. And if they can't peel him out of it, they're in big trouble. I do have to watch out for artillery. The other thing you want to watch out for coming up to this position is guys down here. In fact, I'll take some shots from them. Sitting off the edge, they'll have nice shots on you as you highlight yourself right here. So it's not the most dominant position, but it's pretty good. I'm going to go to double shot because I'm hoping I can maybe come up with a shot on maybe a TD or somebody trying to sneak back in there, but nobody does it, and I don't see him, and then here comes the shell. Woo! Yeah, Artie is certainly going to be pre-aimed there, waiting for exactly that. I was the first guy, and now the second guy gets shot at. They might have been shooting him anyway, I don't know. No, I think they're both coming at me, maybe. No, it looks like one. Oh, the Toro got hit. All right, so long reload, right? Because I double shot. And honestly, maybe I don't want to be double shot. Really, I was just salivating at the chance to shoot somebody on the side. Now watch what happens here. I'm like, oh yeah, this is going to be gorgeous. It's nothing. All right, well, there you go. I mean, it's World of Tanks. That could have been a double hit, double miss, one hit. I mean, it could be just about anything. Oh, there he is. There's that guy. I thought it was low enough. Okay, he backs out. I feel like that's going to give me another opportunity to go after the Lurva. So we'll come on up here and we'll get him. Boom, that's the double. Nice 690 out of that, fellas. Just absolutely obliterate the poor low. Most of the rest of his hit points, it already finishes him off. Double shot, you're waiting a long time. Look where the IS-7 is. Fantastic position for him. He is controlling that spot there. And they're not that interested in coming up high. Now I see the other fellas going off this way. I really wish I was in position to hit that 50B. My God, this is going to be amazing. Oh, and that time all I get is an armor not hit. Thankfully, the other guy missed me. Already missed me. Thank you. Okay, IS-7 moves up. I can see the 50B running across there. Long reload. That's your penalty for attempting so many double shots, fellas. It's the 22, whatever it is, second reload for both of them. It can be pretty brutal. So, the question here is, should I have been shooting cyclical the whole time and maybe get more shots? Be more careful with my shots. Slap. I mean, come on. That. I don't know, fellas. This is what I'm talking about. The accuracy of this gun. It's going to frustrate you at times, right? And that was actually one of my games. I'm not going to show you that one, but the definition of it, or the title of it, was it's going to frustrate you at times. Watch this. Okay. Not that big of a surprise. That was going to have to get to his lower hull, and even the lower hull shot was going to be a little bit iffy based on the angle, right? So we've done a lot of double shots here. See, the IS-7's gone over that way. We take another hit from the artillery for 232. E-77 is in the middle. Let's come back up here. I don't want to expose too much, because I feel like if I come up and over too much, that 50B is going to have his way with me, so I want to be careful with that. And see the IS, or the... Ooh! Yeah, just snaps in this thing, or unaimed shots. We can argue about whether that was a snap or not, but I didn't let it zoom in. I didn't let the dispersion close at all. And you saw the two shells just fly over it. It is pretty funny in the double shot mode. If you pay attention to the flight of your shells, you're going to see some pretty crazy directions for your shells to go. You're kind of used to it if you play arty and you do any snapshots or you do any TD type shots. You'll see them kind of go crazy. But it's a little more obvious, I think, with the tank, because you're staring. You actually have the zoom mode and you can stare down and see the shells. Yeah, they get a mind of their own with this thing if you're shooting double shots a lot. Team's doing okay. We got a little bit of a lead. I'm seeing the even 90. I want to go clear him out if I can. I think somebody else gets him dead. I don't have to worry about him. But I need to peel him out of there. He gets slapped by the double barrel 122 too. And then the arty kills him. That's right. All right, so I know the E-77's in town, so let's move on in here. When I look at the minimap, I can tell there's not a whole lot else in town. This has no... I don't think I hit him. I do hit him. Yep, there we go. So that shack was shottable, throughable. I'll be honest, I don't know what happened with that mechanic, actually. Did one shell knock it down? Getting hit by the arty again. Did one shell knock it down, the other one went through? Is that a shack that you can shoot through? I know that things you shoot through do take off some of the penetration and maybe velocity, etc. So kind of an interesting thing. I just took a gamble that something would go through it. So we're at almost 1,800 damage. This ends up being a pretty good combined game. Now I want to go in here. I'm going to try to find this E-77 and see if we can't put another double shot of love into this guy. Be a little bit careful. The IS-7's got the AMX-50B busy. The Toro comes in and backs me up. It's 5-5, so this game is certainly hanging in the balance. We're going to cross here. Whack. So, oh, I really wanted to get by him without him shooting me, but he was more or less pointing at me. He takes another big hit. I'm going to have to turtle up against this. And now I'm permalit. I don't want to do that because there's 2 artillery, so I'm going to try to back out and get outside of the... There we go. Thank you, Artie. Did I say that? I surely did. I'm trying to get outside of the... oh, what's the word I'm looking for? Why can't I think of it? Oh. Nothing. Well, fellas, once again, old age is getting me because I can't think of what the little circles... Proxy. Thank you. You were saying it, weren't you? You were saying it at the screen. Guido, it's proxy, you buffoon. Thank you. Proxy circle. Trying to get out of the proxy circle. Things are turning in our favor. 2,530 damage, 685 assist. I've been doing a lot of double shot. And we're going back to cyclical here. Notice all my driving around too was super slow. Honestly, that's interesting because I didn't even think about that. This game was after the one I just showed you. And I thought I had learned that lesson, but I'm driving around in slow mode all that time, and it wasn't until this second watch through that I realized I was doing it. There you go, fellas. Watch out for that with this tank. You're going to get a lot more mobility if you're not in double shot mode. I think I was closing in on that guy in double... I was. That's no kidding. No wonder he got his gun on me. I was cruising along at 20 kilometers an hour. Plus I hit him on the move, which is hilarious with both barrels. Like I said, this ends up being a pretty good combined game, and a whole lot of it has to do with just the luck of the double shots going in several times. So we're going to come up here. I'm trying to help the IS-7. So he's been hanging out there for a while. He's not lit, I guess, because Artie's not shooting at him. He is rocking back and forth like he's lit, but he makes a good move here in just a second. So analyzing what's going on, we've got a DZT over on the other side, 53 TP. I don't know why he's down the middle, but he is. We've got 2 guys, the Toro and the ISU. I mean, honestly, they just have better tanks for this situation than we do. They've got a Leopard and a Type 61 and a Pershing. All tanks that have vision. What do we have for vision? Nothing. We got heavies, right? And TDs. But what's our other advantage? We have a lot of map control. Speaking of, the IS-7 is leaving that part of the map alone up there in the northwest. So as I see him go, kind of like, all right, where's he going? I'm like, all right, he's repositioning. He's played a good game. Got myself, I took a couple stabs with blind shots, hoping to maybe hit the AMX. So I've noted him leaving. He's going all the way around. So what I'm going to do is, instead of giving up that part of the map, I'm going to go over to that part of the map and see if I can help control it from over there. I am worried about the AMX 50B. I don't know if I have the beef to take him down with one shot. I think I do with the double shot, but I have to hit and pen both of those and be ready for it. But at least I have that capability, right? There's that intuition type gameplay I'm talking about. The MX-50B, I can close them out with a double shot, probably not with a single shot, so I'm going to have to be smart about how we do this. We'll use the cyclical fast mode to get over here. Artie's going in. Obviously somebody sees the IS-7. I am not going to drop this tree. I'd like to, but I don't want to let them know I'm here. Because guess what just happened? They knew the IS-7 was over there, and now he's over there. Over there and over there. Now he's in another position. Of course, they knew I was up on the hill, too. So we'll hang out here. I'm kind of checking where the trees are and which directions I'm not covered up from. All right, I see them going. I'm going to help, right? We're going to leverage this move by the ISU. And the fact that he got that far and that the IS-7 kind of got that far makes me wonder if there's even anybody on this back edge here anymore. But let's go push this a bit and maybe we can help them. I do have some hit points to give, not a bunch, but some. Didn't get lit, so over here, unfortunately, I didn't catch anybody out. So now I know there's a low spot here. I'm going to dive into this low spot. And again, we're in the fast mode here, right? We're not in double shot. And we find guys. All right, great. There's that guy. No, he hides. I was seen, not good. We'll take a stab. Let's get covered up a little bit. Kind of surprised I didn't get yag-tigered here, but they're busy. Look at them. They're shooting all those guys over there. So I know there's a Pershing there. Let's take a stab. Probably should have investigated where the Yag Tiger was. I might have had, yep. Looks like I did, unfortunately. Nope, that's the Pershing. So I think we actually make this shot. There you go. Cyclical accuracy, better. 2,882 damage. Notice in that case, because I didn't shoot twice, I'm going to get a shot much faster. Only 11 odd seconds minus the bonuses. Push up with this kind of rubble tree knockdown right here. See if we can get a hold of this 50B. I'm going to stay in cyclical because we're so far. Couldn't decide. All right, let's hit him. He's the more dangerous guy. So we slap him. Artie helps me out. Down he goes. Actually, the DZT got him. Artie may have helped. Don't know. Option here to go to HE potentially, but we're going to stay with the AP. Boom. We'll close him out. We're at 3,603, 787 assists. Push on in. See what we can do with artillery. Slam the brakes on. Maybe we can kill him with a cyclical shot. There you go. Your DPM goes up with that. Actually, I don't think it does, to be honest, because there's no varying reloads. I'm assuming that I'd have to do the math, but I'm assuming the DPM is based off just cyclical shots, single shots, and not double shots. I could be wrong right there, but I don't think based on your reload rates changing that you're going to get any DPM or less for shooting double shots. Maybe. I have to have a think about that. But there you go. There's the second one. Let's wrap this up. All right, let's wrap this thing up. What do I think about this? I quite like this tank. I think the double barrel is, we talk about all the X stuff being gimmicky at times. I don't know if that's the word I'd necessarily use. I think it's relatively balanced. It's a pretty strong tank, but I don't know if that really has a lot to do with the double barrel mechanics or if it has to do with its really good hold down capability, right? Even in cyclical mode, even if it had one barrel, it'd still be a competent, pretty good hold down single fire tank with the 360 alpha and a great turret. That's just the way it is. It's fairly standard British tank with a strong turret and a hold down capability, -10 gun depression. And then you add the double barrel thing on it. It's got a few balancing factors with the change of speed and the really high inaccuracy and the fact that you have to reload both shells to shoot and things like that. Then you have sort of a niche, let's call it niche as opposed to gimmick, kind of a niche strength that you have to be careful in using, but can actually be very important to wins, right? Talking out of both sides of my mouth a little bit right there. I think I'm going to say it's balanced, but I'm also going to acknowledge that it's probably one of the top 10 to 20 premium tanks out there, right? It's clearly stronger, in my opinion anyway, than quite a few of the premium heavies out there. I wouldn't say it's at the top. Again, we're in 6 months to a year, we'll see where everything shakes out, but I don't think you're going to be too disappointed with it. And a lot of times the double barrel thing can be quite fun. I find that the Skoda T56 and maybe the 703 to just be absolutely brutally overpowered at times based on the way their mechanics work. This one seems to require a bit more thought process, even though the upside can be very similar if you're good at the game, I guess is what I would say, with the Contradictious. So I don't think you're going to be disappointed. I would treat it as a type of intuition skill with the X, and maybe that's the best way to look at most of the game mechanics like that. Maybe I've just had some kind of epiphany I should have had 4 years ago. Who knows? I don't know. Let me know what you think about that down below. But those are my thoughts on the Contradictious. And if you've learned anything else about it, or like a better setup, or there's skills you think your crew should absolutely have, or whatever advice you can give the guys down there in the comments, go ahead and fire away. That is all I've got. We will see ya.